Good morning. This is Micah Mitchell with Madison County Weather Updates. I'm going to do a quick video on forecast model madness with the storm that's coming on Friday into Saturday. There's another storm follows right behind that, Sunday into Monday. So what happens with this storm Friday will affect what happens with the storm on Monday. But right now we're looking at the European model, and the European model is showing a 977 millibar low pressure. Keep in mind that the storm that just came through gave Indianapolis its lowest barometric pressure ever recorded at 981. Now the European is bringing the low almost right overhead at 977 and actually deepening it as it goes north, where it's about 973 by the time it's leaving the state and ends up dropping into the 960s. So that's insane. But given what the storm day before yesterday and yesterday did, who freaking knows? But so the European brings in a bunch of rain on Friday into late Friday, and then changes it over to some backside snow. So by the time the European gets done, this is where we end up with basically an I-70 snow line. It brings about an inch of snow to southern Madison County, about 3 inches of snow to northern Madison County. That would all be on the back side, and that would all be wind driven. And I'll deal with that here in just a minute. So that's the European model solution. Here's the GFS. GFS is farther west, but not as intense, which does not make sense. If it's going to be not be as intense, it should be farther southeast. So that's something to keep in mind. But the GFS is kind of trying to line up with the European a little bit, bring in a bunch of rain on Friday into late Saturday, give us some backside snow early Saturday. And the GFS is a little farther south, bringing some heavier snow up around Kokomo, bringing most of Madison County an inch or two of snow on the backside. We move on to the Nama Lama Ding Dong, the NAM model. It's a little farther east, but it's a 974 low. It drops to about 971 before the low exits the state. Again, rainfall in the front. Snowfall comes in the backside. The NAM, a little more generous with the snowfall amounts, bringing Madison County somewhere around 3 inches, 2 to 4 inches, let's say, with some heavier snow to the southwest. But the heaviest snow, of course, is up northwest, where they just got a bunch of snow, which also kind of doesn't make sense, and I'll address that in a minute. And that kind of doesn't make sense with all these models, but so then we'll move on, and this is the high-res Canadian. The Canadian, not as intense. It's a little farther southeast. Actually, I would say at 978, it should probably be even a little farther southeast. But the same kind of thing, brings in heavy rain on the front, brings in snow on the backside. It brings Madison County about 3 to 4 inches of snow with some heavier snow to the southwest. And we'll move on. Here is the Icon model, the German model. It is the least intense of all of them, and yet it is also still well to the north of us, bringing a 981 low as it exits. And then it's bringing in a lot of rain. The rain back in this area in Illinois does not make sense, but that's what it's doing. So we'll just show you what the model's doing. And then it also would bring Madison County somewhere around 1 to 3 inches of snow on the backside, with the heaviest snow a little more zonal east to west, which that part makes kind of sense. But the rain that I was just showing you in Illinois, that didn't really make sense. So that's kind of what the models are doing. Now the thing about this is, and I mentioned in my forecast yesterday, it doesn't matter whether we get 2 inches of snow or 12 inches of snow. The wind is going to be a problem, because this is the GFS's take. The European's actually much wider spread with the wind field, but we're talking about several hours with wind gusts of 40 to 50 miles per hour. So even 2 inches of snow blowing across roads is going to eventually ice those roads over, create black ice spots, especially as the temperature plunges after you've had all this rain. Then you start blowing snow across it and the temperature drops below freezing. that's going to be a big problem. So don't get in your head that if we only get 2 inches of snow, it's no big deal. It is going to be a big deal regardless, because that wind is going to be a problem. So the thing I was mentioning earlier about the snow tracks going right over where the heavy snow just fell is usually what happens is if you get a heavy snowpack, it moves the thermal gradient to the southeast or south of it, depending on the direction that the snowpack is laid out. In this case, it would move the gradient because you've got a swath of snow that's creating a colder pool at the surface. So your rising warm air then would be farther southeast of where that is. So that generally moves the storm track, helps move the storm track to the southeast, along with the fact that a storm that low, just its wraparound will generally drop the storm track southeast. That's not what the models are doing. And I will say, I kind of give up on what does and does not make sense, because since we had that big winter in 2013-14, I don't know if it broke something or what, but both winter and summer storm systems are not doing what it looks like they would do, are not doing what they should do. They're doing whatever they want to do. So is the northwest shift on the models, does it make sense in a normal pattern? No, it doesn't. The way things have been going, who knows? We might set a new record low pressure and still end up on the warm side of a blizzard. And I would say again, with these wind speeds, that is blizzard criteria. You don't need a bunch of snow to have a blizzard. You just need snow. So we may still reach blizzard criteria. The question becomes, are we going to reach that with 6 inches of snow? Are we going to reach it with 2 inches of snow? Are we going to just have high winds and almost no snow? Last thing I'm going to say is, so suppose this storm does go to the northwest like it says. There's another storm immediately on its heels that the models then, as they've moved that north, they've also brought the Sunday, Monday storm that would have just given us a glancing blow and the heavier snow would have been south. It's now bringing that heavy snow across central Indiana. So, do we take that for face value? Probably not, because what we've seen time and again is if the models 8 days out say it's going to be heavy snow in Illinois, there's going to be heavy snow in Illinois. If 2 days out they say there's going to be heavy snow in central Indiana, there's probably going to be heavy snow in Illinois. So we'll just see what happens. But I just wanted to show you what the model data is doing. I generally don't really put a ton of stock in the models, but they're all kind of lining up. And with this northwest trend, again, doesn't really make sense from the pattern standpoint and some of the other meteorological standpoints. Not really, but it's doing what it wants to do. And odds are, since it's moved it to the northwest, that's exactly where it's going to go. So we'll see how things look as we get into tomorrow, and we'll see what happens with the Sunday and Monday storm if this storm actually does go to the northwest. So that's all I got for now. I just wanted to show you that stuff, run that by you, and give you the latest on it. And I would say that, again, I've got no real clue on this. So anybody tells you they do know exactly, they're trying to fool you. So we'll see what it does. It's been doing what it wants to do. It's going to do what it wants to do, whether it makes sense or not. So this is Michael Mitchell with Madison County Weather Updates. Have a great day.